Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is 1/3 Swedish on the home side of things and then 2/3 Brazilian on the away side, although even the Swedish brewery does have quite a significant Brazilian connection, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So this particular beer is more Brazilian than anything else. So for the home brewery then, we are going to head up towards Gothenburg, Göteborg as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital up there on the west coast. And we're having a look at yet another beer from Spike Brewery, who I've reviewed many things from before. So this particular beer is called Monkey Business. It's a New England IPA coming in at 6.6% ABV, the latest release from the business series, I think number 4 in the business series if I'm remembering rightly. But this particular beer is brewed in collaboration with Three Monkeys Beer, who come from Rio de Janeiro, and UX Brew, who are one of the 4 beer brands as of 2020 that are produced by Startup Brewery in São Paulo in Brazil as well. So yeah, definitely cool to feature these guys on the channel for the first time. I've reviewed a couple of Brazilian beers before. There was one from Cervejaria Belém, if I remember right. That was a really interesting kind of fruit beer actually. That was a very early review. I think that was within the first kind of 200 videos or something like that that we looked at this one. But there was also, I've also reviewed 2 other Brazilian beers for you as well. One from Cervejaria Brown, and I forget who the other one was from actually. But there have been a good few Brazilian breweries featured on the channel over the years. But Brazil is somewhere that I'd love to go and just try some of the different beers. From what I gather, the craft beer scene in Brazil is a lot of it. They have got a lot of classic beers, but from what I gather, there's a lot of adjuncts and things, different fruits and different spices, and all of these other kind of really random things get put into the beer. It's a very, very vibrant craft beer scene, from what I gather. Actually, I'd love to go down there and have a look at it and review some of these different Brazilian beers for you. From what I gather, Brazilian craft beer is quite expensive. It's seen as quite an extravagant sort of hobby to drink craft beer down there actually. But yeah, Brazil is definitely on my list, and you know, I'd love to get a little bit more experience of the South American beer scene. You know, South America is somewhere that is still on my my list of places to go. But yeah, these guys, definitely cool to have 2 more Brazilian breweries here for you on the channel. And a special shout out to my friend Fabrizio Rossi, who is from Brazil but is now living in Iceland. So maybe I can set up some more Brazilian beer reviews through him or something like that. We'll just need to see. But yeah, cool to have UX Brew and Three Monkeys Beer on the channel for the first time. And it's always nice to have a different beer from Spike Brewery, of course. So very much looking forward to this one. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Spike Brewery, and my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Three Monkeys Beer and UX Brew. Like I said, it's the very first time I'm trying anything from these guys, and hopefully not the last. And there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefect, or whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beer reviews that I've done, and I will, if it's not already there, make one for the Brazilian beers, and we'll see how often we can add to that. But the Swedish one is added to pretty much all the time. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely, hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Spike Brewery then, we'll do the home brewery first, the Swedish side of things. So Spike Brewery, as I've told you on many occasions before, are based in Gothenburg, and the company was founded back in 2014 by Mats Westberg, Marcus Axberg, and then Martin Johansson. All 3 of these guys have previously worked in the IT industry, but it's now only Mats and Marcus that are still active in the company, and they were joined more recently by David de Sursi, who joined the company and became the CEO. I actually met him when I went and filmed my little out and about video at Spike Brewery. So hopefully, you know, hopefully we can get these guys on at some point to do a meet the brewery kind of thing. That would be very cool. But the brewery, the brewer is actually Bernardo Cava, who is from Brazil. And he trained in brewing at VLB Berlin and then joined the company in 2017. At the moment, these guys are producing around 250,000 litres of beer per year, and from what I understand, about a quarter, 25% of the volume that these guys have is used for contract brewing other breweries' beers from the Gothenburg area. I'm not sure if these guys are brewing the Duck Pond things, if I remember rightly. I think they were brewing some of the Duck Pond stuff for a while actually, but they brew various beers for the different kind of gypsy breweries, if you like, around Gothenburg. There's quite a few of them these days. But the brewery itself can be found in the Gamlestaden area, in an old slachthouse, an old kind of slaughterhouse, if you like. So there's bullet holes in the wall and all of these kind of things. But they've got an on-site tap room as well, which opens up on Saturdays. And I think sometimes they also serve food as well. I think they open it up when there's the beer festivals and stuff like that. But apparently they are looking at opportunities just now to build their own brewery. And as of September 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 85 different kinds of beer. So they are pretty prolific. You will hopefully see a black IPA review from me on from these guys later this month. I need to see if they do another release of that. Actually, I would love to get a hold of that black IPA. There was 2 beers that I wasn't able to get in the September lot: the Stormax Porter, unfortunately, and also the the new black IPA from Spike Brewery. But I'll need to check and see if there has been another release of those, because I would love to have a go at them. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Spike Brewery for the moment. This must be at least, you know, review number 10 or 12 that I've done from these guys. I've reviewed a lot of beers from these guys over the years, but they are one of the Gothenburg breweries that I would recommend you check out. I'm not sure how easy it is to get their beers outside of Sweden. I'm not sure if any of their beers have gone to Norway or anything like this, but yeah, they are doing some pretty nice stuff actually. But yeah, let's go on to the Brazilian side of things. If you want to learn more about Spike Brewery, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, on to the first of the 2 Brazilian breweries then, Three Monkeys Beer. So as I mentioned earlier, these guys are based in Rio de Janeiro, and they were founded back in 2013 by 3 friends. This is Leonardo Gil, Bernardo Costa e Silva, and Felipe Oliveira, if I'm pronouncing those names right. Portuguese is a language that I'm not overly familiar with. But all 3 of these guys had lived and travelled abroad, and they had a passion in particular for Belgian beer, and they'd gone around the various pubs in Rio de Janeiro collecting all the labels of the different beers and things like that, and trying lots of different Belgian beers. So when they started to plan the brewery together, they'd originally planned to call it the Three Monks as a kind of homage to Belgian beer, but then later when they attended a brewing course in Joa, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, they apparently saw a troop of monkeys, and this is very typical in Rio apparently, but then this kind of gave them a little bit of an epiphany, they said, and they decided to choose the name Three Monkeys instead. So their early beers were apparently received very, very favourably, and they really had to think their business plan a couple of times and scale up, and by 2019 they were producing over 150,000 litres of beer per year. I think it was actually maybe closer to like 200,000 litres of beer that they were producing. They did have to scale up, you know, really considerably after all the success that they had in the early days. But they've made their name by adding really kind of unusual adjuncts to their beer. They do have a few kind of original, kind of more classic style brewed beers, like Belgian style stuff. A Golden Ale I think was their first beer, but they've been adding lots of different adjuncts to their beers, and as of September 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 70 different kinds of beer. So yeah, pretty impressive I have to say. You know, there's a lot of really good Brazilian breweries as I've heard, and these guys apparently are doing some very, very interesting stuff. Supposed to be a very quirky experimental brewery, and I would love to get down there to Rio and try a few more of their beers. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Three Monkeys Beer for the moment. If you would like to learn more, again, check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And of course, you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to look at more of the different beers that they've done. So yeah, on to the third and final brewery then, UX Brew. So as I mentioned earlier, UX Brew are one of the 4 brands of beer that are produced by Startup Brewing in São Paulo, along with Cervejaria Unicorn, Cerveja Avos and Juan Coloto, and all of these beers kind of have a different sort of vibe about them. The 4 different ranges are all, you know, different kinds of beer. Some are more zestable, some are sour, all of these kind of things. But this brewery is based in the Itupeva district in São Paulo in Brazil, and the company was founded by Andre Franken and Andre Kunrath back in 2016. So the 2 apparently worked in the tech sector, and they met as colleagues in 2012, and they found out through social media that they had a common interest in beer, and then they started to kind of homebrew together as a bit of a hobby. So they started to produce their beers originally as a gypsy brewer and from the early days, and then they constructed their own brewery in Itupeva, which opened in June of 2018. So the brewery capacity is around 120,000 litres per month, and they've been gradually working up towards that over the last few years. As of September 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, there's been 30 beers released under the UX Brew brand, and there's a few others under Unicorn Avos and Juan Caloto as well, actually. But from what I understand, the UX Brew is their more kind of experimental and bigger kind of big brew beer series, if you like. I think the other ones are like sours. I think the Unicorn one is the more kind of sessionable type beers they were saying as well. So they've got quite a range of different beers brewed in this one brewery. The Startup Brewing is the basically the parent company, if you like, and then UX Brew is the the brand of beer, actually, or one of the 4 brands of beer that they release. So kind of interesting, that actually, definitely cool, as I say, to be able to feature these guys on the channel too. I can't remember if I've had any beers from São Paulo before, but yeah, if I remember rightly, Brewdog do have a bar in São Paulo, and that was the kind of first encounter that I would have heard of about Brazilian craft beer. But like I say, I would love to review more Brazilian beers. If you want to learn more about Startup Brewing or UX Brew or the other brands that these guys do, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about the 3 breweries then. Let's get on and actually have a taste of the beer. If any of you are watching from Brazil, do let me know in the comments section below some more breweries that I should check out, and hopefully I can find some way to to get a hold of some different Brazilian beers for you. So yeah, let's go for it, guys. So yeah, as you can see with this one, the artwork is absolutely lovely. I really like how this goes together. Oh, we're getting the bin lorry visiting now. Thursday is my day off, so I get to kind of chill at home on Thursdays, and we're getting the bin lorries connecting. But there you can see the monkey on this one, the astronaut monkey. I really like that artwork, actually. I think I might keep this can, to be honest with you. I do love monkeys. The great apes have always fascinated me, and how close they are to humans. But there you can see the 3 brewery symbols there. You've got Spike in the middle, UX Brew, and then you have 3 Monkeys beer. But yeah, I think this one is pretty cool. Brewed in Gothenburg, Sweden by SpikeBrewery.com, UXBrew.com, and 3monkeysbeer.com as well. So yeah, 6.6% IPA this one. This one is brewed with Citra, Equinox, Sabro and Enigma. This is going to be pretty damn good, actually. Yeah, so Citra, as we know, lovely kind of mango notes with a lot of other little complexities, gooseberries, lychees, all of these kind of things, some lemon lime. Equinox we know is a big kind of lime hit. Sabro has that lovely orangey note to it, but a lot of people say there's coconut to it, and I have experienced that. Enigma is a beautiful hop as well, Australian. And it's got a lovely kind of gooseberry, kind of green grapey note to it, but it's also got kind of cranberry qualities as well, and red berries from what I remember. So yeah, 440ml can, this one. I think this cost me the standard 44 crowns, 45 crowns, something like that. So that is, yeah, about €4.50, 4 British, just under 4 British pounds, maybe 3.75 or something. And for those of you in the States, it's about, yeah, about $4. $4.50, maybe a little bit more than that, as I say, because the dollar has dropped in value in recent times. So yeah, let's have a little look at this and see how we go. So yeah, this one should be really damn nice, actually. So yeah, this is pretty cool, actually. As you can see, this one, it's poured kind of as you would expect from a New England IPA. It's a lovely kind of bright yellow colour, this one. If we shine the light through it, it's not the haziest of New Englands that you're going to come across, but it does have a good degree of it. You will find New Englands that are more soupy and gloopy than this. Of course, as you go up the alcohol scale, they'll get even more soupy and gloopy because of the higher amount of oats and wheat and things like that in them. So yeah, as you can see, this beer poured with a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say perfect white coloured head. That's faded away to just be a very thin foamy layer. There's 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of that head there, and overall it does actually look very, very nice. So yeah, I like how this one goes together. It looks pretty solid. It's pretty much how you would expect a New England IPA to appear these days. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see there is a degree of haze to it. So yeah, definitely looks the part. Let's have a closer look at the aroma then, and just see how we get on with this beer. Yeah, that does smell pretty nice, actually. There's a whole blend. You can really smell the hops kind of punching their way out of this one. I really like that. So yeah, This is going to be good, I'll tell you straight away. So on the malty side of things, you do get a good balance. I think the malty side of this beer isn't too oaty, it isn't too wheaty. It's really well balanced in that sense. So yeah, towards the back of the nose, you'll pick up the more kind of stronger bitey wheaty notes, and then further forward on the nose, you'll get more of the kind of oaty creamy notes. You can get a little bit of a kind of there is a little bit of a kind of biscuity note coming out of the beer. You've also got a little bit of a kind of pilsnery, I think there's a little bit of a kind of pilsnery crispness coming out of this beer as well. I do get just a little tiny touch of an almost pilsner malt coming out of this one. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of pilsner type malt in here. But yeah, lots of nice kind of white bready notes, the stronger bitey wheat like I said, and the smoother oats in there. A little bit of a kind of biscuity, caramelly biscuity sweetness. And you've also just got a little kind of touch of a kind of slightly spicy there is just a wee touch of a spiciness to the malt base there as well. There's a teeny little bit of biscuity sweetness in this one, but I really find that this beer is leaning more towards that kind of bready side of the spectrum, if you like, because the New Englands, they always tend to be oaty and creamy, more wheaty and bitey, or sometimes these days they can be a little bit kind of thicker and more sweet and oily. So yeah, the aroma that comes out of this one definitely indicates a little bit more bready. But there's a really big kind of citrusy zest to this beer, so let's look at the hoppy side of it. So yeah, for me, there's a teeny little touch of earthiness to this one, but that's very minimal. The beer otherwise is very floral. I really find this one quite floral and quite aromatic. There's also a good little bit of a kind of grassy quality that comes out of this one. There's a lovely kind of bright grassiness there, a lot of kind of citrusy zest at the same time, but from the hops that are in this, you would kind of expect that. So yeah, for me, the green side of the hops in this one is definitely more floral, and it's not overly spicy. It's just very aromatic, I think, and almost really quite zesty as well. So yeah, definitely a big kind of floral hit this one. But with these hops that are in here, you would kind of expect that, to be honest. You would expect that of these hops. But yeah, the aroma from this beer, I think it's really nice. On the fruity side of things then, you do have a bit of a kind of stronger passion fruit coming out of this one. That'll be from the Citra. You've got the juicy mangoes in there as well. And then there's loads of other things going on with this one. I find this beer has a hell of a lot of lemon lime to it. Citra is going to contribute to that. Equinox is going to give you a lot of the limey characters in there. You really get a good lime hit off this one. And on the front, the very kind of front edge of the nose, it is really quite lemony and zesty as well. Let me see, there's a good orangey kind of hit to it. You do have that kind of mandarin-y. I think it's quite a more mandarin, a really sharp mandarin that you get out of this one. From the Sabro, you really get that. You can smell a little bit of that coconutty. You really can smell the coconut coming out of this one. So yeah, it's almost like the fruits, the more that you smell of this, it comes across as very zesty in the beginning, but when you start to focus on the fruits and you know, just concentrate on that part, you know, you will feel that there is a kind of coconutty thing just almost sitting underneath it and making the fruits come across as a little bit creamy. Actually, it's almost as if the coconuts and the oats are kind of combining in this beer. But yeah, the more that I smell that, you can also smell a little bit of that kind of gooseberry-ish note as well, that sort of gooseberry, white grapey kind of thing. And that's the Enigma. That's the Enigma that's giving you that. So it's interesting how the Sabro and the Enigma are kind of working together, whereas it's almost like you've got Sabro and Enigma working together, and then you've got the Citra and Equinox kind of doing their thing. So yeah, it's almost as if like at the back, yeah, it's almost as if kind of at the back of the note, kind of further back, you've got the you do have those stronger passion fruity notes. You know, then you start to get the gooseberry and the gooseberry notes out of it. Then the kind of mandarin-y oranges. Then you start to get the kind of lemony and lemon limey zest there. And then underneath, you've just got a little bit of a kind of coconutty quality to it as well. So the fruits that you get out of this one are really nice actually. And from what I gather, that, you know, Brazilian beer is supposed to be quite like this actually. The beers are really kind of fruit forward from what I've heard. A good brewery to check out on that note actually would be Coolhead Brew from is it Tuusula? They're around the Helsinki area. I think it's Tuusula in Finland that Coolhead Brew are from. They've got I think the guy's name is Kleber Gonsalves. Their brewer is their main man is Brazilian, and he's brought the kind of Brazilian style brewing to Finland. So if you get the chance to try some Coolhead brews, that would be quite cool. I'd love to see Spike, you know, that would be interesting to see Spike collaborate with Coolhead actually. Maybe that's something that can be sorted at some point. But yeah, that's definitely a brewery to check out as well, and you will see more reviews from me and Coolhead over the next little while. But yeah, let's have a little look at this beer then and see how we go on. Take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma. This one's got some really interesting hops in it, but now we're going to taste this one. This one is the Monkey Business, a New England IPA, coming in at 6.6% from Spike Brewery in Gothenburg, brewed in collaboration with Three Monkeys Beer from Rio de Janeiro and UX Brew, who are one of the startup brewery brands from São Paulo, both in Brazil. Let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. What would they say? Would they say salut? I think in Brazil, if I remember rightly. But yeah, let's get stuck in. Cheers. That's really nice, actually. Very sessionable beer. So yeah, 6.6%. This one's got a really nice drinkability to it. Yeah. That's awesome. So, thumbs up to Spike. Once again, I mean, I know these guys are a very capable brewery, and it's a good first impression to have of Three Monkeys and UX Brew. I will say that I find this one a little bit more kind of crisp and things, definitely, compared to the other beers that I've had from Spike. And I do wonder if that's the Brazilian influence. Brazil, generally speaking, is a very, very hot tropical country, and you know, you do tend to find that in certain places you will get the beers that are a bit more kind of crisp just because of the temperature. I think you know, the Greek beers actually, interestingly, they were, you know, they were a little bit of the opposite in fairness. They were a bit more kind of oily but full of flavour. So yeah, it's interesting to think about these things, I reckon. Yeah. But yeah, this is a lovely beer actually. Thumbs up to all three of the breweries involved then. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this one then. So straight away with this beer, you can feel the kind of pale malty, white bready qualities. That's really forming the backbone of the beer. As you go to the back third of the tongue, you get that more kind of bitey, wheaty note, and I think it really becomes a bit more kind of grainy the further you go into the aftertaste, but it's not too spicy or anything. The wheaty notes you get out of this beer are really quite smooth, in fairness. They really are. They really have a nice, just a nice smoothness to them. But I do want to say there is a little touch of kind of Pilsner malt in this one. There is just a little bit of that kind of crispness. Pilsner malt is a pain to describe actually. There is a little bit of, there is a real bit of crispness coming out of this beer. Actually, which is very, very nice. I do like that about it. That's lovely. But yeah, as you move into the kind of middle third of your palate, the beer feels just a lot lighter in a sense. As you move towards the kind of front half of that middle third of your tongue, you get a wee bit of a more oaty, kind of creamy quality coming out of the beer. There is a wee touch of a biscuity note kind of builds and comes out of the beer. You will find a little bit of a biscuity, caramelly sweetness in the very centre of your palate. That develops a little bit as you go further into the aftertaste with the beer, and that adds another really nice dimension to it. Again, that makes me wonder if there is a bit of Pilsner malt in this one. But yeah, I really like the kind of crispness that this beer has in the middle of the palate, and the slightly more thick quality towards the back of the tongue. But yeah, I like how this one, I do like how this goes together. The malt base in this one, it's quite different, as I say. This is one of the more crisp New England IPAs I've come across in quite a wee while actually. But I certainly really like what it's doing actually. This would be a lovely beer for them to maintain as a kind of fairly core range beer actually, because this is really different to what they've done before. This is quite a nice like summer New England IPA, like for a really hot day. This is a really nice kind of summer New England IPA in my mind. We're still getting good weather here in Sweden at the start of September of course, but this is a lovely kind of more summery New England IPA in my mind. But yeah, I really like that. It does smoothen out a little bit more. I think the malt base does smoothen out a little bit more the further you get into the aftertaste, but I really like what they've done with this one. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there is definitely a little touch of earthiness there, but that kind of goes away quite quickly. As you move further forward along the side there, it does actually get a little bit of there is almost a little bit of a raisiny character to this one, I find. I'm not sure whether that would be the Enigma or the Sabro that would be giving you that. But all of these hops are very high alpha acid anyway, but as you move further forward along the sides of the palate, you get some really nice kind of big floral aromaticity. It gets a little bit kind of more spicy and things. Then as you go round the very front curve of the palate, it is just a little bit lighter and more grassy actually, and I really like that about it as well. I like the big kind of floral spice that it has. It's not the spiciest of beers that I've come across, but it does have a wee bit of dankness underneath, and then it's just some nice big aromaticity. It's probably not right to describe it as spicy. There is a little bit of that, but mainly it's quite big and it's kind of quite aromatic in a sense actually. So yeah, bear that in mind when you try this one. But yeah, this is it is pretty nice actually. I like how it I do like how all this goes together. On to the fruity side of it then. So behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters push their way out of the beer. So for me, this one, it's actually a little bit less zesty than I was picking up from the Aroma, but it's a lot more balanced actually. So yeah, if you go back towards the back third of the back third of the back part of the front third of your tongue, that's what the phrase I was looking for. If you go to the back of it, there is a wee bit of the darker passion fruit, but very quickly that evolves to be the mango. That's the citra that's going to give you that. And as you go further, beyond that, I actually find that you start to get more of the kind of grapey, gooseberry kind of notes there. You start to get the Enigma, I think, coming out of this one. So yeah, it goes passion fruit, a little bit of mango, then the green grapey, gooseberry type notes from the Enigma. Then in front of that, you start to get the more kind of the orangey notes from the Sabro. And it's almost the thing that's interesting with the kind of gooseberry-ish notes, that's when you get the kind of coconutty qualities in there as well. But as you go towards the very front part of the palate, you get the more lime, and I think the lime is actually a little bit oily, but then on the very front edge of the tongue it does become a little bit more lemon and limey and a little touch more kind of zesty actually. So I really like how that side of the beer goes together. So yeah, it's really it's nice in that sense. The way the fruity character comes out in this is really interesting as well. The one thing that I don't find that I get in this one is the kind of red fruity notes. I always remember Enigma having a little bit of a red fruity note to it, and maybe you can get a hint of it in the aftertaste. You maybe get a little bit of a hint of it kind of sitting there on the front of the palate in the aftertaste. I remember it being kind of cranberry-like or red-berry-like. But yeah, I really don't kind of get much out of it in that sense, to be honest with you. I mean, the way the fruit goes together in this one is really nice. You do get that kind of orangey quality just behind the as I say, just behind the kind of limey notes. It's interesting, the kind of orangey notes and the lime are kind of playing with each other a little bit in this one. But yeah, I don't really get so much in the way of the red fruity character that I would have expected from Enigma, but all of the hops are showing different characteristics I think in this one, and that's what makes it really nice. This is an interesting hop blend actually, Citra, Equinox, Sabro and Enigma. It works really well, I have to say, so yeah. Yeah, these ones, it is very, very nicely done in that sense actually. So yeah, it's a lovely beer this. I really like this one. I think definitely it was fair to call this one a kind of quite crisp and quite summery IPA, but the fruity notes are very nice. It's got a good balance between the tropical fruits. I think the fruit becomes a little bit softer the further you go into the aftertaste, but yeah, I really like what they've done with this one. So massive thumbs up to Spike, and I would be very, very curious to see what Three Monkeys, what other stuff Three Monkeys have, and what else UX Brew have as well. These guys, I mean, I've heard that they know what they're doing, so it would be awesome to do a proper review to some of their beers on the channel too. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this beer, it's kind of at the bottom end of mid-body. The carbonation is quite crisp in this one. It has got an element of Pilsner malt to it, like I said. I would say that overall Yeah, it's got a bit of wetness in fairness as well, but quite a smooth, quite crisp beer overall. In terms of IBUs, I think this one is your fairly standard 25 or 30 IBUs. The malt base, like I say, it's very smooth. There is a slight degree of sweetness to it and a lot of smoothness. Nice big kind of hoppy, nice sort of big hoppy bitterness to the beer. So not big, I would say, as I say, 25 or 30 IBUs, but the floral notes and the aromaticity you get out of this one is really nice. Then the fruits are really well balanced between the tropical notes and the kind of more citrusy, zesty kind of quality as well. But yeah, I really like what this beer has to offer us actually. So yeah, you guys, I would recommend you try this one. This might be one of my favourite IPAs that I've had from Spike so far actually. I've had some really good beers over these guys, so I don't take that lightly when I say it, but I really like this, the kind of crispness and stuff that this one has. This is really nice, drinkable. New England IPA. It's a bit of a change of pace from a lot of the other ones I've had recently, and that's maybe why it stands out to me in fairness, but I think Spike have done a really good job of this, and as I say, very cool to feature UX and Three Monkeys for the first time as well. I'd love to review more Brazilian beers, it's just very difficult to get a hold of their stuff. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Monkey Business, a New England IPA at 6.6% ABV, brewed by Spike Brewery in Gamlestaden in Gothenburg, brewed in collaboration with Three Monkeys beer from Rio de Janeiro and UX Brew, one of the startup brewing brands from São Paulo, both of whom come from Brazil. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from all three of the breweries involved here. You will see more from Spike very soon, and I do hope that we can do some more UX or startup brewing beers along with some Three Monkeys. I would love to have some more Brazilian beers for you on the channel regularly, so we'll need to see what we can do about that. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Slange, skål, salute. I will catch you guys later on. Cheers.